Hello, and welcome to your first podcast. This is Mr. Bowers here. I'm going to show you how we're going to use this program, which you will get familiar with, known as Geogebra. So get to know it, learn to love it, because you will be using this all year and beyond, probably. Okay, in this podcast, I'm going to show you how we're going to download Geogebra. So we'll go to the website if you don't already have it. Some of you guys already have it downloaded on your desktop. But if you're at home or we have a different lab, we're going to need to go to the Geogebra website every time and download it. But if we use the same computers that we've already been on, we should already have it on our desktop for us. Okay, I'll also explain to you how I would work through this podcast and watch this video. Okay, so we'll use the side-by-side features of Windows 7 to do that. So I'm going to explain the Geogebra environment to you, what it looks like, some certain things about it, and how we use the toolboxes in Geogebra as we build some geometric features. We'll probably just construct a rectangle in this podcast to keep it relatively short. So here's how it's going to work. You're going to follow along with me as I explain to you what to do. So as we're in Geogebra, I want you to use the tools that I tell you to use. Sometimes I'll say, don't do anything, just watch. Or I'll say, okay, grab this tool, or grab that tool. So whenever I say that, follow along. I'll probably get ahead of you in the video here. So make sure that you know that you can pause and rewind anytime you need to. Okay, so if I get ahead of you and you need to pause it or rewind, please do so that you can follow along. Okay, first things first. Let me show you, if you don't already have Geogebra up and running, let me show you where the website is. If you already have it, you can skip this part of the video. And actually, before I do that, let me show you the side-by-side features of Windows 7. So if you do skip ahead, you can get this part so that it's easier for you to work along the podcast. So you're watching a YouTube video right now. It looks like this. And if you've already downloaded Geogebra, you have your Geogebra window up. Geogebra looks like this. Okay. So now what I want to show you to do is grab this upper toolbar here of your Geogebra window, and with your left mouse button, hold it down and drag the window around. Okay, you're going to slide the Geogebra window. If you're right-handed, I would do this all the way to the right, and notice you get a little silhouette of where it's going to go, half your screen. So let go of the left mouse button, and now Geogebra is half of your window. Okay, now the video, I want you to grab that bar, okay, just like Geogebra, and now you slide it to the left. You can see the little silhouette pop up, let go, and now we have side-by-side features. So don't do this yet, but you could, see how I can work Geogebra here, and I can watch my video. Okay? So that's how we're going to watch the podcast. So you can watch me over here on the left, and you can follow along on the right. Again, if I get ahead of myself anytime you need, or get ahead of you anytime you need to, just pause the video and rewind. Okay? So I'm just going to get a clear screen here. Okay, now if you don't have Geogebra up, I'll show you how we do that. Okay? So you're going to go to this website right here, www.geogebra.org. Okay, so this would be one of those moments where you're going to pause the video, you're going to get your internet browser up, you're going to go to geogebra.org, and then you can follow along. Alright, so once you get your browser up, you go to geogebra.org. This is the Geogebra website. So there's two ways you can download Geogebra. You either click software or you can click download. Either way gets you to the same place. So I'm going to click download, and we're going to download the Windows install here. Okay, notice it's highlighted. Just click Windows. Okay, save your file or run it. It doesn't matter. Save or run. And then just follow the installer, and you will have Geogebra. Okay. Now that you have Geogebra up and running, this is the environment. Okay. Right now we're looking at two views here. We've got the graphics view or window, and we have the algebra window. All right, this algebra window is going to be very nice to us when we want to look at certain points and lines and segments and whatnot. Okay, the graphics is just what we're going to build. Now, mine came up as a white screen. Geogebra comes up with the last features that we saved it as. You might, because you just downloaded it, have your X and Y axes showing. So one thing I'm going to tell you, this first toolbox here, oh, by the way, these are called your toolboxes. Okay, notice there's a bunch of them up here. Okay, each toolbox has these little arrows in the bottom right, and that means that we have lots of tools in our toolbox, and they're organized. Okay, this first toolbox here is called I call it the pointer toolbox. Geogebra calls this tool the move tool. You'll hear me refer to it as the pointer tool because it's a little pointer. Okay, so let's click an arrow here just to show you what I mean by our tools. This second toolbox is called the point toolbox, and as you hit that down arrow, notice we have some new point things that we can do. We can make a new point, we can put a point on an object, we can intersect points, we can find the midpoint if we want to of a segment. Alright, this third toolbox is called our line toolbox. Alright, so you can see these different tools. And I'll refer back to these in a little bit. Grab your pointer tool though. Okay, so select it. Notice that toolbox is now blue, so I have that tool selected. Now with your pointer tool, we can right click anywhere we want in the white screen here, and notice we get some options. If you see up on top here we have axes and grid. If you click axes, well actually don't click yet. If you see your axes, don't click. I'm just going to turn mine on. This is probably what you're looking at, something like this, right? So we can turn off the axes, we can turn on the axes by grabbing our pointer tool, just right clicking in the white here, and notice I have my axes turned on. I could also turn on my grid, so maybe if you click grid, now notice you have a grid pop up, right? So we have axes and a grid. Maybe we want just the grid showing for whatever reason, not the axes. So if that's the case, pointer tool selected, right click, turn off your axes. So just click axes, notice those hide, and now we just have a grid. Okay, for this tutorial, let's just have a white screen. So let's right click and make sure our grid and our axes are both turned off. So now we have a nice white screen. Okay, back to the third toolbox here. This is called the line toolbox. Notice if you hit the down arrow, we can make a line, so we only need 2 points. We can make a line segment. We can make another segment with a fixed length if we need to do that. Comes in handy quite a bit. We can make rays if we want to, array. Remember, array is just half a line, right? So let's make a line real quick. I'll show you how we can use these tools. So here's a line through 2 points tool. You'll hear me just say the line tool. Alright, so click that. Notice now in our picture we have the line tool. It's selected because of that blue box around it. Alright, now, Geogebra is very user-friendly. One thing you can do when you have a tool and you don't know how to use it, just grab your cursor and hover over the tool. And notice a little yellow box comes up and it tells you the name of the tool and it tells you how to use it. So it says line through 2 points and select 2 points. So one of our main ideas in geometry says that to construct a line we only need 2 points. You always hear through any 2 points there's exactly 1 line. Now I'll show you 2 ways we can make a line. If you use your line tool, we can just select our first point. So in your screen, just left click somewhere and it puts a point. Oh, and I don't have a label here on mine, so before I finish, I want to label my points. Okay, and now we just need a second point, so just click somewhere and notice now we have 2 points here. I'm going to show my label. Okay, so now we have this line, we can call line AB now, or BA, doesn't matter. That's what I am. So now we have BA, or we have AB. Okay, so here's how we can make a line. Another way we can make a line is grab your new point tool. Now your new point tool, if you hover over your point toolbox right now, this one with a blue dot and an A, this is our new point tool. And since that's showing, it's not selected right now. That's okay. If I want that tool and it's showing in my toolbox, all I have to do is click on the toolbox. Okay, if you click the down arrow and it drops, shows all our tools in that toolbox. You have to click on the new point tool in the drop box here. Okay, another way we can make a line, just somewhere in the white, put 2 points. So there's 2 points. Through any 2 points, we can make exactly one line, right? So now grab your line tool and click on C, then click on D. And now we made a line go through point CD. Does that make sense? So this one we just used the line tool and we put 2 points that made the line. If we have 2 points already there, like we had C and D already there, we can make a line go through those using the line tool. Okay? Now, let's say we don't want to see that line CD for whatever reason. I don't want to see it, but I don't want to just delete it. I want to hide it. Okay? Now, your algebra window here is great. It shows us everything that we've constructed so far, and it categorizes it for us. Notice we have lines here. We have 2 lines. Now, because there is an axis, remember our X and Y axes that we hid? There's really a grid there. So Geogebra gives you the equation of that line. This bar, by the way, between your algebra and your graphics window, if you hover over it, your cursor will turn into an arrow pointing left and right, and you can drag this out so we can see a little further. We have equations of these 2 lines. We really don't care about it right now. When we do geometry things, we don't care about the equation. If this were an algebra deal, we might need to know and use these equations for the lines. But it just does it for us. But what's nice is, notice as you hover over the first line here, okay, in your algebra window, and that line gets selected here in your algebra window, on the graphics view, notice that line also gets selected. So GeoGebra is great. Whenever you select something in the algebra window, it'll also highlight it on your main view, so you can make sure that you're selecting the right thing. Okay, my second line that I highlight over, notice my line CD gets highlighted. Okay, I want to hide CD for whatever reason. 2 ways to do that. We can right click the equation in the algebra window, and it gives us some options here. Notice it says show object. These are just toggle buttons. These are like hide and show. So because the line's already showing there, if I click show object, notice it hides. Okay. Now the other way that we can hide any object is, again, we could right click in the algebra window like we just did for line CD, or let's say we want to hide this line as well. You could also right click the object in the algebra window as well. Okay, so if I right click line AB, I go down to show object. Notice I can hide it too. Okay, so now those lines were there. They're still there. They're just hidden. Now look in your algebra window. You can see white circles and you can see green circles. Okay, white means that these objects are hidden. So just looking at your algebra window, we know that these 2 lines are hidden. You can also click on the white or the green buttons, okay, and to turn on or to turn off those objects. Okay, like if I clicked on the green circle for point A, notice if you click that green circle, A disappears and it's white now. So you can just see what's hidden, what's not hidden. Okay, but let's show all our points right now. All right, let's use our segment tool. So segment tools, because segments are part of a line, let's grab our segment tool. So it's in our line toolbox. So we're going to hit the down arrow again, and we're going to, my volume turned down. Sorry about that. Let's grab our segment between 2 points. This is our segment tool. So click on that tool. Notice the picture comes up in our toolbox and we know it's selected. Let's create segment CD. So to do that, if you hover over your tool, notice it says select 2 points. So we're going to select C and we're going to go to D, and it makes that segment CD. In our algebra window, we now have a new category called segment. All right. So let's go ahead and make since I have 4 points here, let's make a quadrilateral. So I'm just going around selecting my 2 points to make the line segments, and now we have a nice quadrilateral here. Okay, I want to show you some other features of GeoGebra. Notice the points A, B, and C right now are blue, this dark blue color. Okay, what that means in GeoGebra, whenever we make a point and it's this dark blue. That means it's a free moving object, and we can grab our move tool here, our cursor tool, so select that. And now when we click and drag any point that's blue, notice I can move A anywhere I want to. Okay, so maybe I want to make this look like a rectangle. We're going to construct a rectangle here in a sec. But if I move my tools accordingly, or my points, it looks like it could be a rectangle, right? Blue points mean that we can move any point anywhere we want on our plane here, our graphics window. Okay, now let's say for some reason we want to find the midpoints. Nope, let's not do midpoint yet. Let's put a point on segment AB. Okay, I just want to put a point somewhere on AB. It doesn't matter where. Since I want to put a point here, I'm going to grab my new point tool that's in the point tool box. Because it's already shown here, all I have to do is just click the tool. If you click the down arrow, the drop box comes down and you have to click the tool in the drop box. But you don't have to if the tool's showing. Okay, I want to put a point on AB. So when you do that, notice, let's say I'm close. Don't put a point yet. Just watch this. If I think that I'm close enough and I put a point here, notice E, this new point I just made, is that dark blue. Dark blue means it can move anywhere we want to. Okay, so it's not on the point. We can make it look like it's on the line here, but it's not. Okay, so I just want to show you the difference in color here. Now I'm going to grab my point tool. Now go ahead and follow me here. Hover your cursor over your line segment that we want to put the point on, and notice it's selected. And now when I click on it, my point E comes back up, but it's a different color, right? It's this kind of purple color, and you can even see it in your algebra window. Notice this last point we just made is a different color than our blue points that we can just move around. Okay, this purple color in GeoGebra means that this point, it's stuck on the line, but I can move it. E can move anywhere we want on AB, but it's stuck to segment AB. Okay, so if you grab your move tool, your cursor tool, and click and drag E, notice E here can move, but it's stuck on segment AB. Okay, so that purple color, when we want to put a point on a segment or a line or whatnot, we have to make sure that it's that purple color, and that means that it's on the object we wanted to put it on. Okay, now let's say we want to find the midpoint of, let's say, AC here. I want to find the direct center of this segment. Okay, we can use GeoGebra to do that for us. Since it's a midpoint, it's in our point toolbox. It's not shown here, so we have to hit the drop arrow. And now we're going to select our midpoint or center tool. Okay, if we don't know how to use the tool, just hover over it. Notice it says select 2 points, 1 segment, circle, or conic. That means a conic section, like a circle or whatnot. But these, whenever you have commas like that, it's telling you different options you could do. You could either select 2 points or select the 1 segment that we want to find the midpoint of, or the circle, or the conic. Okay, since we have a segment AC, we're just going to click, we're going to hover over the segment and select it. Okay, and then just click on it. And notice it makes the midpoint. Now this new point that comes up, notice its color. It's like a dark gray color, almost like a black. Okay, if you grab your move tool again and you click on F and try to drag it around, notice it won't move. Okay, this dark color means that this point will not move. It's stuck. Okay, it is constructed to be the midpoint of AC. The midpoint's only 1 point, and we can't change that. E is this purple color. Notice, right? And we can move it on that segment. Purple means it's stuck to an object, but it'll move. Dark color means that it's stuck on the object and it can't move. That is the midpoint. There is no other point, right? Okay, dark blue, remember, means that it'll move. And as I move segment AC, notice F moves accordingly, right? It stays the midpoint. And E, no matter where AB goes, E is still a point on AB. Okay? Alright, let's look at a couple more toolboxes here, and then we're going to construct a rectangle here by looking at a definition. Alright, this 4 toolbox here, this is a very important toolbox for us. They're all important, but this one is one that we use quite a bit. Okay, this is what I call our constructions toolbox. We will eventually in class, well, in geometry, no, in integrated as well, excuse me, we will be making all these constructions by hand. GeoGebra, though, has all our constructions done for us. So if you click the drop box here, we can make a perpendicular line, we can make a parallel line, we can make a perpendicular bisector, we can bisect an angle, we can do tangents on a circle, okay, and some other tools. But these are great tools for us to use, and we're going to be using these when we make our rectangle. Okay, this tool here, toolbox, is called your polygon toolbox. What it does is, you notice this red kind of interior is shaded. It's kind of colored in. That allows us to measure like the area of an object. If I want to know the area of this quadrilateral here, we could do that. All right. I'm not going to show you in this tutorial, but we will use that feature quite a bit. Okay, circle tools. If you notice, this circle toolbox has a lot of stuff that's related to a circle. This is our conic toolbox. This is where we can make an ellipse, a hyperbola, parabola, okay, conic through 5 points. Okay, this is what I call our measurement toolbox. We can measure an angle. Maybe we'll do that right now. We could also, we can make an angle with a given size. Okay, we can measure the distance between 2 points or the length of a segment. We can measure the area of an interior, right? If we use that polygon tool, we can measure the area of this. All right, we can find the slope of a line. This toolbox too is very important. This is what we call the transformation toolbox. So we could do reflections, we can do rotations, and we can do translations, dilations as well. Okay, and then these other tools, these are important here. We'll go through these when the time we need to talk about those. Okay, let's go ahead and construct a rectangle here. So let's get a new page. Let's go File, and then let's go down to New. So we're going to clear whatever we have up here. Okay, so let's not save it. We don't care about what we just did. And now we have a nice clean page here. Okay, let's construct a rectangle. Now, I found a definition on Google. I just Googled definition of rectangle here. This is what came up. A plane figure with 4 straight sides and 4 right angles, especially one with unequal adjacent sides, in contrast to a square. That's just saying it's a rectangle, not a square, when we have a long side and a short side, right? Like this. If you can see my cursor moving, notice the horizontal segments are longer than the vertical. But this, what I highlighted here, 4 straight sides and 4 right angles. That's the main part of our definition. Okay, so in math and geometry, geometric concepts here, we construct a rectangle based directly off a definition. We need to construct an object that has 4 straight sides, so a quadrilateral, right, 4 sides, and we have to make sure we have 4 right angles. Okay, let's use Geogebra to do that. All right. Where do we start with when we construct a rectangle? Well, we have to start with a side. It doesn't matter which side. So sides of rectangles are segments, right? So let's grab our segment tool. So notice mine's already selected here. Yours should be 2, but if it's not, then remember, drop arrow, grab your segment tool. All right, segment tool. If you don't remember how to use it, just hover over, select 2 points. Let's just put a segment down. That's going to be one side of our rectangle, okay? Now that main part of the definition says we need 4 right angles. Okay, so when we make our other sides here, we got to make sure that we have right angles. Well, that's what perpendicular means, right? 2 lines are perpendicular if they meet at a 90-degree angle, if they make right angles. Okay, so we're going to use our perpendicular tool. Okay, so just like mine here, you should have your perpendicular tool already shown in the toolbox here. If you don't, drop arrow, select your perpendicular line tool. Okay, let's hover over the tool and see what it says. It says select point and perpendicular line. Okay, so what that means is we want to be perpendicular to this line segment here. All right, and we want it to go through point A for this first one here. So let me show you 2 ways we do this. We could say we want to select A, we want our perpendicular to go through A, but now we have to tell Geogebra what segment or line we want to be perpendicular to, and that's the segment here. So now we're going to select the segment, and it makes our perpendicular line. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here for B. We're going to make a perpendicular go through B. Now we could select the line segment first, and notice that as I move the cursor around, it's waiting for me to tell it where to put that perpendicular line. So we want it to go through B. So now we're going to select point B, and we have two perpendicular lines, right? So we know based off our definition that we have right angles. Let's show it. Let's make sure that I can see that these are right angles here, okay? Now what we need for our third side though, real quick, is we need to put a point on one of these lines here. So let's grab our point tool, our new point tool, and let's put a point on one of these lines here. So I'm going to put on this one. Notice the line's got to be highlighted. You select it. C is now that purple color, so I know that it's on that line. Okay. And now let's measure, say, this angle. I want to see if that's really 90 degrees. Okay. So we're going to grab our angle tool. This is our angle tool. It says select 3 points or 2 lines. So if we have that selected, when you want to measure an angle and have Geogebra show you what the angle measure is, you have to select your points in a clockwise direction, right? If clocks go in this direction here, okay? So I want to see what this angle is right here. All right, so to do that, we have to select A first, and just like in geometry when we label angles, we always label the vertex in the middle, right? We're going to say we want an angle going through A to B, and now notice Geogebra is waiting for me to select my third point so it can finish that angle. And when I select C, look, it even makes our 90-degree angle sign that we have here. Okay? We could measure this angle here, except we need another point here. Okay? You could select 2 lines. Maybe if I click this line here and then this segment here, ooh, it gives us 270. Okay, if that happens and we do something in Geogebra that we don't want, okay, there's an undo up here in the upper right. Okay, notice this little yellow arrow. Click that. Now, what if we clicked this segment first and then selected this line? Oh, that's 90, but that's not the direction that we want it to go. Okay, so I don't like the selecting lines when we do angles. I like using points. So I'm going to undo that. And I'm going to wait till I get this side here and we finish our rectangle to measure that angle, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, we have this point C here. C's on the segment, okay? So now all we have to do is finish our rectangle. We need a line here that's either perpendicular to this line, or another way of thinking about it is we could do a line that's parallel to this segment here that goes through C. Let's do that. Let's grab our parallel line tool. So parallel lines are in our construction toolbox. So we're going to grab our parallel line tool. Okay. If we hover over it, notice it says select a point and parallel line. So if I select the segment that I want to be parallel to first, notice Geogebra has our parallel line, but it's waiting for me to tell it what to go through, and I want it to go through C. So now when I do that, we have C here. Okay. Now we have, we just need to finish up with this point right here. So let's grab our, well, we could do a new point tool if we want. Let's hit the drop arrow and use intersect 2 objects. We want to find the intersection of those 2 lines where that fourth point is, where we need to put that fourth point. So grab your intersect 2 objects tool. Okay, now this one's nice because we could just hover over the middle here, and you could do this with the new point tool as well. Let me show you the intersect feature. Intersect says we just need to tell Geogebra what 2 objects are intersecting. So it's going to be this line and this line, right? So this intersects this line, and notice we have D. D is that gray color, so we know that it's stuck, right? Because that intersection of these 2 lines is only one point and it can't move. Okay, so now we have our rectangle, right? So as I move those blue points that are free moving, notice it changes the orientation, the size, and everything. C is stuck on our line here, but we can change the height of it, you know what I mean? So this is what a true construction means. As we move one point, everything else follows accordingly, okay? Now let's get a little fancy here and then we'll be done. We have our rectangle. I want to hide all these lines and just look at the rectangle itself. So we're going to make segments. We already have a segment AB, that first segment we started with, but our other sides right now are just lines that we made. Okay? So let's hide all of our lines. Alright? So look at our line here in our algebra window. just click these little green circles here, and notice all our lines get hidden. Okay, grab your segment tool, and let's just go make our segments that make the rectangle. Alright, so now this is a rectangle here. It's got 4 straight sides, and let's show that it has 4 right angles. We have one showing here. So now let's grab our angle tool. If I want to measure this angle here, then what I need to do, remember, clockwise direction, this way, we need to select point B, then point C, then point D, 90 degrees. Let's measure this angle. Clockwise direction, I have to click C, then D, then A. So I'm going to go C, D, A. Last one, let's go D, A, B. And then there's our 4 right angles there. Okay, one last thing I want to show you with Geogebra, and we'll be done with this podcast. We can change colors, we can change the size of segments. Notice these segments are kind of boring. They're just these thin black lines here. I want to say, for whatever reason, we want these segments to be different colors, and we want them to stand out a little bit more. Okay? Now, I want to affect the size. I want to make these lines thicker. Okay? And I want to do all these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, notice in segment here, the name of these 4 segments that we have. We could either select each object individually if we want to, or if you select the word segment itself, notice it highlights every segment we have. So right click the word segment here. Okay? In all of our little drop menus that we have when we right click, we either get object properties in the bottom or something else. I forget the name of it right now. These are going to be our best friend for changing things around. Okay, so we're going to click object properties, and because we have all 4 segments selected, we get limited options, but still we could, if we want, we could change the color of all segments together since they're all selected. If I were to make them all red, notice they all change together. We're going to make them all individual colors here in a sec, and I'll show you. What comes up when you hit your object properties is we get another mini algebra window here. Notice we just get the names of our things that are in this algebra window here. We don't see the actual values of everything. We don't care. We just use this to select objects that we want. Okay? Making sure that all your segments are selected. Now, if you're clicking around or whatever, and maybe you click this or this, notice in our algebra window we don't have all our segments selected. Just click segment again, and it'll select everything we want. Let's go to style. In style, we can change the line thickness. So let's make this maybe thickness of 7. Okay, notice the segments now. They're thick. They're standing out. They look good. All right, let's go around here. Now, some different ways. Again, Geogebra is very user-friendly here. Let's make this segment AB that I have here. Yours may be different. I don't know what you... If you're following along, it should be the same. But I'm going to make my segment AB. I don't want it to be red. I want it to be something else. Okay, now notice AB... If I click in the white here, if I select segment AB, that apparently is called A, segment A. Okay, let's go to color, and I'm going to make my segment A green. Okay, this segment BC that I have here, okay, I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to make it blue. Alright, DC here, this bottom segment, I'm going to select it, and let's make it purple. Okay, and then AD, this 4th one, we could keep it red, but I'm going to make it orange. Okay? Alright. So that's our preference window in our object properties, and we could change angles if we want to. We could change colors. If you ever want to change an object in the screen, just right-click that object. And if we go to object properties, notice it's selected here, and we could do whatever we want to it. Maybe I want to make that angle blue. Notice it's now a blue angle versus green. Okay? Alright, so that is the basics of Geogebra. There is much more that we will be doing with it, but at this point right now, those are very useful tools. Kind of get familiar with the environment. The more we do with this, the better you will get familiar with the program, and you will become pros of Geogebra, and you will be doing good mathematics. Thank you.